So although there are negative underlying themes about their sense of the pandemic, I hope that this experience will galvanize us to increase people's access to mental health support. There is a lot of hardship during this pandemic that's related to loss of life, loss of opportunities, and sometimes loss of jobs or change of jobs. So at the same time that we acknowledge this hardship, we can also try to consider if we have other experiences that could be positive, or if we could have learned from some of these experiences. So I would recommend that at the same time that we acknowledge the hardship that people have gone through, we also want to encourage people to think about their learning experiences. Our research has shown that, in a group of undergraduate students that we are able to survey recently, there are some common underlying themes. One of them is that they feel like the pandemic is coming to an end. So possibly there are feelings of hopefulness in that, we are nearing the end of a big public health crisis. So although there are negative underlying themes about their sense of the pandemic, there are also those that are not negative or even positive. Okay? I think as a psychologist, I hope that we have learned from this pandemic because of the intense focus on mental health in young people. I hope that this experience will galvanize us to increase people's access to mental health support. So as the name implies, post-traumatic growth means psychological growth after the experience of a trauma. So in clinical psychology, trauma has a specific definition that is maybe different from how we understand it as a lay term. So instead of thinking of trauma, we can think of it as an adverse event that bring about a lot of stress. Okay? And people cope with stress in different ways. Most of us, in the face of stress, we would react slightly kind of negatively. Of course, if you're thinking about people coping with significant stress, we would react with negative feelings like sadness, anxiety, irritability. We may actually show somatic symptoms again, which includes headache. And overall, that could affect our physical health too, because our immune system is weakened, and that makes us more vulnerable to illnesses. So this is typically the way that we cope with significant stress. But most of us will recover from the stress after a while, especially when the stress has subsided. But yet, there's another group of people who may chronically have to experience these negative symptoms, and in the long term, they do not recover very well. And researchers are really interested in how people are being negatively impacted by stress, but are able to recover, and in fact also achieve some psychological gains from coping with the adversity of the stress. So this group of people is where we kind of identify post-traumatic growth. Okay? And researchers identified that for this group of individuals, they may experience renewed appreciation of life, they may experience more positive relationship with other people, they may enhance their personal strength, and they may even experience spiritual changes. Okay? So bringing this concept to the experience of pandemic stress, then we kind of wonder if people actually would be able to show a widened perspective of life, whether they kind of appreciate life in a different way, whether they enhance their personal strength and develop new skills and interests, and whether they could also experience some spiritual changes too. Social support is a big contributor of post-pandemic growth. Okay? We asked students in a survey about whether they experience positive changes, negative changes, or no change in themselves, their perspective of life, and their impact on others around them. And the response from them shows that those who have higher levels of social support in terms of support from family, peers, and significant others are more likely to experience positive changes as a result of coping with the pandemic stress. So one way that people think about is that connectedness with others definitely offers them a lot of social support, and in turn we wonder if these students actually also feel like they want to be supportive of other people, therefore increasing their impact on other people. Another way that social support can actually lead to growth is that perhaps through the social interactions, students gain additional perspective about their lives, and that could increase their flexibility in coping with problems and in solving their problems, because they talk about different strategies that people could use. So optimism is defined as having favorable expectations of the future. Okay. And our results actually shows a moderation effect. So specifically, we found that students are more likely to report positive changes in their lives as a result of coping with the pandemic stress if they scored high on optimism. So it means that if students are low on optimism, they are less likely to experience positive changes that are associated with COVID-19 stress. Okay? This is an important result because it shows that positive expectation that the future is going to be good is really important for positive changes, right? And the reason really is sometimes people think of it this way, that when we are optimistic, we are able to experience some gains from adversity because of the way we appraise the situation. So we are able to reappraise negative experiences in a more positive light. With optimism, we also gain a sense of self-efficacy, the sense that we can be effective in coping and in solving our problems. I think on the whole, we are experiencing a lot of crisis. Sometimes, there are a lot of negative experiences that we have to cope with, but I think we can be assured that with good social support and with increased optimism that can be cultivated and sustained within our social network, we can cope with a lot of crises in a positive way.